right, we're back. Shacknews Game of the Year 2022, and things are really starting to develop here. Get it? Because we're doing the Best Developer Award. So clever wordplay. I'm sorry, I can't afford Game Award level writers. This is all me, people. I'm doing my best. I'm trying, but I digress. Best developer. These are the people that made the games that were the cream of the crop. Your favorite title of the year. The folks who put in all the love, sweat, and tears into letting you double jump on a ghost horse or play through a fantasy world with a weird mushroom companion or any other number of fun experiences. They're the reason that we get to play games and do what we love. So, without further ado, let's talk about some of the best developers of 2022. Oh my goodness, where to begin?
I can begin somewhere. So I can't imagine the how hard it was for a lot of that old Hearthstone team to take what was essentially a very comfortable place they were in. Because Hearthstone is still going today and it's still going pretty strong right now. They just released an expansion earlier this week, and think, you know what? Let's go out on our own. Let's try and do something like away from the Blizzard umbrella. Let's just strike out on our own and see how well we do. And they go and they make their own studio. And then their first project is Marvel. I can't imagine the level of pressure that they were under to nail this first game. Because if this flops, then, they bet on themselves and they lost. And if that had happened, that'd be a terrible story. But Second Dinner, not like, I can't believe they made Lightning Strike twice to this extent. Like, they did such an incredible job with Marvel Snap. And on top of that, as developers, they're listening to their community, like, in a big way. Because I remember right in that early access period, they tried to release a game mode that really fell flat with the audience, to the point that people just thought they were going to be another pay to win fiasco. And they said, okay, we tried something, it didn't work, we're scrapping it. And not only are we scrapping it, here's all the free stuff that would have been included with that. So in terms of like acting as a developer and as community wranglers and everything else, they've done a tremendous job, and I gotta applaud them for what they were able to do out of the gate and essentially follow up on what was a genre-changing game in Hearthstone, and then change the genre again with Marvel Snap. Like, I'm in awe of what they were able to do, and I think that they're probably the best developer that I've seen this year.
I
think that's a fair nomination. Yeah, coming out of nowhere with a massive franchise too. Like, Marvel is no small potatoes, and what an ambitious place to start, right?
Again,
It's basically being asked to reinvent what they've already reinvented, and they managed to do it.
Yeah, noteworthy. We've all basically been playing Marvel Snap. I don't think has anyone here not been playing Marvel Snap. Steve, have you been playing?
I haven't played too much of it, really. I know from what everybody else has mentioned that I believe I am going to get into it. I haven't really been jumping into it too much.
But you have played it.
Yeah, I've played occasionally, but spending all my free time on Pokemon, so that's neither here nor there.
No, Steve is where I was with Animal Crossing a few years ago. Like, Steve knows that if he dives into this, it's going to eat up his time, and he's not going to have any free time left.
That's
exactly why I haven't jumped in either.
So if I do get into this, I will be going full throttle to it. So I have not in the plunge too much yet.
Well, I think that's probably a healthier way to approach it than most of us. But yeah, dude, I don't know. It's hard to deny this one. We were talking about Marvel Snap before we even got into these deliberations, and it had nothing to do with this nomination either. It hadn't come up. We were just talking about the game. So, I mean, I think that speaks volumes to this nomination in particular. With that said, I think we should keep moving on. I'm gonna go with Gearbox here. Gearbox not only put out Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which is my personal favorite game of the year. They also expanded all their studios as well. So they're now the people making Star Trek Online and Neverwinter. Like those are all part of their dev teams now, as well as Have a Nice Death. A ton of other stuff. Like they joined up with Embracer, which I think is going to give them even more, operating capital in the future. And yeah, they just got way bigger this year. They kind of blew up, and they were already pretty big to begin with.
Yeah, like I feel bad that we didn't talk about the Gearbox and the publishing ring now, because now that you mention it, they have been doing a lot of work on the publishing side, up to and including the fact that Gearbox Publishing publishes Remnant from the Ashes, and we just saw the reveal of the Remnant 2, which looked freaking awesome last night. That was sorry to date this, but like I was reeling over that trailer because it looked so damn good that I didn't expect that it was Remnant. It was Remnant is good, but it just like it didn't. The first game doesn't look that good, and I was blown away by that title reveal.
That was a big one, yeah, for sure. I'm really excited about that too. But yeah, these are all Gearbox developers, like in-house. They went from being part of Perfect World to being Gearbox devs, and we've been doing tons of streams with both the Star Trek Online and the Neverwinter folks, and we've been streaming Have a Nice Death. Like we've been watching these games grow and blow up, and like that's all part of Gearbox now. On top of Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which is just chef's kiss. There you go. That's my nomination.
Well, I've got a short version and a long version. The short version of my pitch is FromSoftware released Elden Ring, and it sold 12 million copies in just over 2 weeks. The longer version is Elden Ring is going to be influencing game design for years to come, just as Dark Souls has been influencing game design for over 11 years at the time of this recording. They did what no other developer has managed to do. They have improved on Breath of the Wild's open world format, giving you near total freedom to go where you want, do what you want, take your character in any direction. And this is they released Elden Ring. That's it. That's the pitch.
I will also add to that I think that people take for granted how much could have gone wrong with a game like this in terms of the scale and everything else involved there. I mean, even just adding things like a mount with a double jump in the game like this is a lot for them to take on top of the overall balancing and being able to do this with friends at any given time, or invasions and all of the things that come in terms of that too. So yes, I think what From was able to do with Elden Ring and putting this game together and pulling it off the way that they have is both impressive, but also fiscally impressive. I mean, I think that it's paid off in ways that they. I hope to see them continue to push the boundaries of what they can do moving forward as we are now on the next generation of hardware. So, yeah, I'm really impressed by what From was able to pull off.
Yeah, Sam's not here right now, but as the judge, I will read his statement to the court. He said, "Oh, mate, FromSoftware managed to deliver Elden Ring, update it, and improve it continually, while also tackling online woes with the Dark Souls title. The team made the difficult decision to take those servers offline while a fix could be created. It pissed off the community, but it meant that their systems were safe from malicious attacks. The developers have managed to push forward the open world genre and deliver a Soulsborne experience more approachable than the last, while exciting veterans."
Well,
That is
that's the
from
thing.
our own
That's
Sam
from
Chandler.
Sam, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
he reviewed that game for Shacknews. His review is a great read. You can still read it on the site. And that's the thing. There has been this pervasive idea that these games are niche, when in fact each one has sold more than the last, and 12 million copies. This is, I mean, if the Souls franchise, of which this is a part, was not mainstream before, it certainly is now.
So, in particular, David, what do you think are the parts of Elden Ring that are going to continue to influence game design or gameplay mechanics?
I think the open world design itself is definitely a big one, and especially how it combines dungeons. There's more to do in this game than just kind of, tracking down bugs or talking with NPCs. It is just rife with dungeons, caves, etc. to explore, and especially the way that the fast travel system works. Torrent has kind of redefined how I think about mounts in video games. It's just made it more accessible, which is I think the biggest part. It showed that you can have a game that is still very challenging, combined with the option to let you go your own way if you get stuck at a certain point, which is something that that previous Souls games have admittedly suffered from.
Yeah, I think there was definitely a different point that they've made when it came to the design to make sure that you'd be able to explore and go around different areas and bosses and find different things without it having to be necessarily something that happens in a certain order. And the game benefited from that a lot. You don't have that level of frustration, I think, in certain ways I've had in previous games, because I could just go off somewhere else and try something different. I think that helps a lot in the terms of game design. With, ironically, when there's been criticism before for their approach to game design being less accessible in certain ways. I think from the open world perspective, uh, they add a lot more convenience to this title in a way that really helps with making it accessible in some ways. There's a map, there's fast travel, there's things that save you time, especially when you might be in situations where you might be a bit frustrated from a boss fight or something like that. You're able to get back into that a lot quicker than you might have been in previous titles, where you're having to scale walls and all this other stuff just to get back to that one encounter just to die again.
So better checkpoints.
A mixture of
Better,
because they have like the stakes that you can, certain areas where you, as long as you don't spawn away, you spawn back there every so often. But it's a mixture of that, but also just it seems like it's thought out fairly well.
mhm.
And the
But,
accessibility to the actual like different areas from the start.
yeah,
If something you just don't like for whatever reason, you have the opportunity
but
to kind of go somewhere else and
okay.
it still function. If
But
that makes sense.
are checkpoints or restart points close to a boss fight something new to gaming? Is that their innovation though?
You know what?
I mean,
The use of that word is so overwrought in this industry. Innovation in many cases is not as important as refinement. And this is open world gameplay refined for me. They've taken what they've always done very well, which is airtight controls, weighty combat, and in-depth character customization, and smoothed out a lot of wrinkles in open world game design, it's just a very smooth and very polished and refined game.
Well, tell that to the PC players at launch because it ran terribly on the
That has
PCs.
nothing to do with the game design. That has to do with optimization.
It should be noted though, like it should definitely be a thing to
I
consider.
mean, optimization is technically part of the development process. It's open. I think that's open to interpretation as far as like how you want to approach this award. Um,
I'll say the pros outweigh the cons.
Fair
I agree
enough.
with
I
that.
think I mean no game's gonna be perfect, right? And we live in a world of day one patches now.
Yeah.
Like, and did it get good? You could also argue for that because the developers also made the effort to make the PC experience better. That's also something Sam brought up, was they had to shut down their servers for Dark Souls in order to improve the experience. So they're obviously making efforts not just on the Elden Ring front, but on the Dark
Right.
Souls front too.
Yeah.
I think that's worth noting as well. Sure, they had to make effort, but it's their own mistakes there as well. Like the network didn't work because of something in their programming, right?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
it was a small little back door that got left open, and everybody forgot about it. That
Mhm.
it allow for command prompts.
Yeah.
But they fixed that, and I can't take anything away from them. But I would like to talk about another group.
All right.
My nomination for this year was Capcom, and Capcom. Like, you might not think that they did anything major this year because a lot of their biggest things are coming next year. However, I think that they actually did more than people could even begin to grasp throughout the entirety of 2022. They kicked off 2022 by bringing Monster Hunter Rise over to PC and making it work well from Jump Street. Like, they started with that, then they went into they developed the next gen versions of Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil 3 remakes. And they made them free. Like, you didn't even have to buy them again if you owned the games. Like, you could just upgrade 3 games that are already kick-ass to better versions of those games and keep playing. Because they also added cross-gen save transfer, which I love that they did that. They announced Exo Primal, which was just like a weird, out of left field thing to do in the first place. We all want to see Dino Crisis, I think, to a degree, but this was a weird and interesting reveal, and like, having played a little bit of early versions of it, it's exciting. I'm interested to see how that game shakes up.
Didn't it get delayed? Wasn't it supposed to be out right now originally?
I think it did get delayed because that's another thing they've been doing. Capcom has been listening to their fans very closely this year and trying to meet them halfway on just about everything. When they announced Street Fighter 6 and we got ready for the beta, I was like dreading the idea that this could be day one Street Fighter 5 again. I was really scared that could happen again. And that closed beta, Denny's going to be with me here, like, eliminated my concerns for the most part. It plays so freaking well. And it answers so many issues that people had with Street Fighter 5 in the first place. The hub is amazing. The gameplay is amazing. The new systems are really fun, and it's got me all in on Street Fighter 6 day one. I'm gonna play the shit out of that game because of the beta that they showed off this year.
Yeah, I do think that they mentioned wanting their fighting game brands to be at the same level as the kind of Resident Evil has kind of had that, shake up in quality that's led to some good titles. So they seem to be taking an approach to the other sides of their brand moving forward here, which is good.
I feel like they did learn a lot from Street Fighter 5 in the last few years, but at the same time, I feel like they had to because the bar was so low. Like they were like, oh, maybe we should listen to our community. Maybe we should release the game on Xbox. I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but yeah.
They had
they
Ono
to.
have moved on as well, and he was kind of like the guy for Street Fighter for so long. So, I want to say midway through Street Fighter 5's kind of DOC cycle, they started switching things up with who was making decisions.
That, and they answered to so many wishes this year by not only announcing confirming the worst kept secret in the game industry, Resident Evil 4 remake is in development, but like giving us a date as well. But also, they finally confirmed that they're doing another Dragon's Dogma, which I have so many friends and so many fans of that series that have been waiting for Dragon's Dogma 2 forever. And for them to finally come through and say, yeah, it's happening. We're doing it. We're going to make this happen. And then, like, it's just a wonderful mix of community response and involvement, creating games that were fun for this year between, like, the next-gen updates and Monster Hunter Rise, and then setting putting irons in the fire that are going to pay off big next year. Like, Capcom had me excited all of 2022, and they've got me even more excited for 2023. It was just a stellar year all around for them.
But TJ, just one question: where's Marvel? It's the only one I want.
Marvel's my nominee.
Marvel's over at Snap. Yeah, Marvel's over at Snap. I'd also say a lot of that is like stuff they're going to be doing in the future.
But it's not. It's Monster Hunter Rise, the next gen updates of Resident Evil, and then like the putting out that beta for Street Fighter 6 was kind of the clincher for me because it actually let us play what they have and killed all doubt I had for that game.
You know, I'll also give Capcom credit because they also, like, as far as esports are concerned, they came out with some very strict guidelines for what they wanted tournament runners and operators to do, and like the feedback from the community was extremely negative. They flipped on a lot of it though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're like, okay, we're listening, we'll do it. It wasn't a good first move on their part, but I think out of all the Japanese game developers out there, Capcom is actually probably the most flexible when it comes to that sort of stuff. So I will give them credit for that. But
I thought you were gonna take a shot at Nintendo there, which I mean they deservedly so. Do better, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to get into the Smash stuff here. We're talking about things we like and why we like them right now.
But yeah, ultimately, like, even and then finally capping things off, I know that it's not everybody's favorite Resident Evil game, but I really appreciate that they added a third-person mode to Resident Evil Village because I think that it makes that game more playable for a lot of people. I know a lot of folks get freaked out by first-person horror, and so giving that, like, they built an entire mode around that game to, like, make it play more like Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I have some friends who are finally giving that game a chance because they couldn't do first person. So, from an accessibility standpoint, it's definitely helped them.
So yeah,
being able to actually get into it now.
So yeah, all around, just like community support, development, current things, future things. Capcom was someone I would stand by all year long.
TJ, would you get Cap and Com tattooed on your knuckles?
Maybe. Where's this
maybe
going?
his Street Fighter 6 character, you know.
Yeah.
Put that
All right.
In June.
Look, yeah, if Street Fighter 6 gets a 9, are you ready to get the Capcom logo tattooed on your knuckles?
I might have to.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have it on camera. And I don't know. All right, that's a strong argument too. I might be willing to tattoo their corporate logo on my fists.
And I'll do it live on the dump.
Yeah, we can do that live.
There you go.
From the tattoo parlor. And with that, I think we're ready to vote. Let's start with David L. Craddock, because I am pretty sure no one's going to be too shocked by his vote.
Yeah, I think I'll have to go with FromSoftware. They're a really strong development efforts this year, but FromSoftware definitely.
You said Capcom? Capcom
not.
All right,
year,
one
maybe.
for Capcom.
Next year, maybe.
All right, Capcom gets one. No, Denny, who are you voting for?
Yeah, you know, TJ made a good argument for Capcom, but I think that their year is next year, so I'm going to give it to FromSoft. You know, I think that they accomplished something that is monumental.
Donovan.
I'm going to go with FromSoftware. Let's do it.
Greg.
what Second Dinner has playing card games since I was old enough to play card games. What Second Dinner's done in that design and overall and everything about that game, minus the pricing, is absolutely phenomenal, and it could have failed. It's gonna change the way everyone looks at digital card games moving forward. Second Dinner.
All right, Princess Tobians, come here. All right, TJ.
Staying with Capcom.
Capcom it is. All right, Ozzy.
Second Dinner, and to Greg's point, it's one thing to like make you rethink the way you play card games. They did that with Hearthstone, and they've done it again with Marvel Snap. Like, that's remarkable.
Morgan.
Go with FromSoftware.
FromSoftware. You know what? I'm going with Second Dinner. I don't play a lot of mobile games. I definitely don't play a lot of mobile card games. And Second Dinner has me doing both. And I love Marvel. So it's like kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. Like, this is a very approachable like online card game versus like a game that's good, but you also have to really spend a lot of time to get good. Pardon me. This wig is choking me as it shits. Steve.
I'm going with FromSoftware.
Okay, sorry about that. And let's get the absentee votes. Asif and Bill, both going to FromSoftware. And I believe we already mentioned that Sam voted for FromSoftware as well with his little quote there. Wow. I must have tallied something wrong there, but there we go. That makes more sense. All right. No, it doesn't. That was right. Okay.
Did FromSoftware win, or did it supremely win?
Oh, man. FromSoftware supremely wins Best Developer of 2022.
A celebration of war! Paradise!